So I've actually talked about this in the past, but after moving out of Lisbon to this new area of Portugal, I struggled with creativity for a while, and after settling in and after days, weeks, even months went by, I slowly started getting out of that old molds, just this old way of doing things, and in this case was this old way of thinking and shooting, and this allowed me to still make portraits, which is definitely my favorite thing to shoot. I just think that being able to capture someone's essence and just capturing a person in a still frame is something really beautiful if you think about it, and I just love doing it. And again, I talked about this in the past, but the interactions that I have with these people is always so good, so nice, and a lot of these people I haven't even met before, so it's just a whole experience and I just love it. Anyway, I digress and the video barely started. But getting out of these ruts allowed me to go back to like older ways of shooting and just shooting different subjects, because back in the day when I started photography I was really into like urban exploration at the time, so I used to shoot a lot of like abandoned things. Most of those places weren't actually abandoned, but that's, yeah, you know, if you're into urban exploration you know what I'm on about. And I used to shoot a lot of landscape photography as well, and again, moving into this new location just allowed me to shoot a lot more landscapes, and more recently I started getting into shooting old like abandoned buildings and factories, and there's all sorts of abandoned things in Portugal, and a lot of them are actually quite interesting to take photos of, and that's what I've been doing. In today's video, I'm gonna show you photos that I took of a really cool abandoned place that I found, and that's relatively near to where I live, and it's basically an abandoned nightclub slash drive-in theater, a bowling alley, and it's this abandoned nightclub from the 2000s, and honestly that place feels sort of a time capsule, because even though it's decaying and destroyed and completely scrapped of like electrical wiring and copper and like anything that wasn't like literally stuck, nailed or cemented onto the floor, wall, ceiling was stolen or destroyed, so yeah. Just wanted to give you a quick disclaimer before we go further into the video, but the photos that you're about to watch, I didn't actually take them in the same day when I shot the footage, because I actually went there and I wasn't expecting the place to be that good, honestly, so I took my BRONICA ETRS and I took a roll of ilford HP5, and you know I don't shoot black and whites that often, which is something that I'm gonna talk about in a future video, because I used to do it a lot back in the day and I want to get into it again. Again, digressing, that's a whole different subject for a completely different video. And as I was saying, I took the pictures on a different day than the day where I shot the footage, and you're gonna notice that the photos were taken in like a clear sunny day, and the footage that I got was actually just a few days ago, and it was proper like checking it, pouring, and there's water everywhere, which made for really cool reflections and textures, but you're definitely gonna notice a difference. But again, I thought the photos turned out a lot better than I was expecting, so I just went there, grabbed a few clips, some B-roll, and I was just trying to put this video together, so hopefully you like it. The first time I even looked at this place and noticed it was there, I was immediately drawn to the big sign by the main entrance, and I just couldn't stop imagining like that sign lit up at night, and what the overall vibe of the place must have been like back in the early 2000s when that place was alive and crowded and full of energy. This was definitely something that I felt even more when I decided to go there with my friend Paulo and shot a few images on HP5 as I mentioned earlier and used my BRONICA ETRS. Speaking of Paulo, you're gonna see a few clips that he shot on his really cool Hi8 camera, and we can apply filters and use apps to simulate or emulate, whatever you wanna call it, like i8 and VHS and whatever, everything, but nothing beats shooting with a real thing and just the vibe that you get with that footage, and just being in this kind of creepy abandoned place and looking at this Hi8 footage, just so fitting to me, like the overall vibe just matched perfectly. As you'd expect, this place is covered in graffiti and completely vandalized, and as I mentioned earlier, the wires have been stripped down from the walls, ceilings, floor, everything's destroyed, smashed. There's piles of fridges, which I think I got some footage of. I didn't make a picture of that scene in particular. Maybe I'll go back there in the future and just make a few more photos that I couldn't make in the first time. I don't know, maybe. But as I was saying, there's still a lot to photograph and plenty enough to just make your mind wonder what the place would have been like back in its glory days. Although this place is very colorful, as you can see from the footage, and there's a lot of texture, I thought that it might have been too much in a photo and I think it would be too distracting. So that's why I chose to shoot everything in black and white, because I think that it strips the images to their bare essence, and I think it's a lot easier to just get this idea, like this overall feeling of the image and of the place, than if I'd shot the photos in color. I think it would be just too much and a bit overwhelming, and I wouldn't be able to hopefully transmit the same feeling that I felt when I was there, and I hope this made sense. Because this place has all of these funky shapes and lines, the light creates really cool shadows and textures around the place, and they're definitely what makes a few of these images interesting to me. I only shot a roll of HP5 that day. I wish I'd taken more film with me, but me and Paulo were actually just driving around and taking photos of cool places and cool houses that I have around this area. And when I got there, I only had that roll of HP5, and I'm glad I still decided to take the photos, because again, I think they turned out okay, they're interesting. And yeah, that's it. This will be all for today, and if you like this video, I'm gonna ask you to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you wanna keep up with my content. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.